So right up front, as you were probably able to tell by now, I was unable to release reviews on every Star Wars movie before The Rise of Skywalker this weekend. I've been too busy moving into my new apartment, and that's the reason for the blank background. That will change in the near future. So right now all I can do is complete the original trilogy before I review Episode 9. It's not as satisfying for me to not have them all reviewed first, but I should really stop making promises until I've gotten into the habit of releasing reviews on time. So here's my review of the third film in the classic Star Wars trilogy, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. In this movie, the Empire is nearing completion of a rebuild of the Death Star, now armed with a shield generator. Emperor Sidious, the man in charge and the one responsible for creating Darth Vader, is on this new space station, so the rebellion takes the opportunity to go blow it up while he's on it, which would destroy the Empire once and for all. Before they can join, though, Luke, Leia, Lando, Chewie, and the droids go to rescue Han Solo, still frozen in carbonite. They travel back to Tatooine, where Boba Fett had brought Han to the gangster slug Jabba the Hutt, to whom Han never paid his long-standing debt. And soon, Luke must once again confront Vader after learning that he's his father. Reminder, this review contains spoilers. While a lot of fans seem to really like Return of the Jedi, it's still often regarded as the black sheep of the original Star Wars trilogy. I say, not a chance. Return of the Jedi is equally fantastic. It completes the three-part story, bringing it to the status of near perfection. So the first act of the movie is Jabba's palace, which is a despicable but really cool place. The creature designs are creepy and unique, brought to life with animatronics still impressive today, including Jabba the Hutt himself. It's a job well done on the part of the 6 guys it took to operate that thing. When we first see Han as a carbonite statue again, it was a moment of relief to me, because I knew that meant he was going to get out, which I wasn't sure if he would at the end of Empire. And sure enough, Leia comes in disguised as a bounty hunter and unfreezes Han, but just in time to get caught. Han is taken to the dungeon while Leia is made into Jabba's slave. And whenever we wanted to watch a Star Wars movie, this was always the one that our mom had to look out for and monitor because of Leia's slave uniform. And then Luke comes in, and instantly, before he even says anything, you can see a shift in his character. And he's no longer just a whiny kid. He's older, wiser, and he means business now. It's a real testament to how far his character has come. As he comes to bargain, Jabba has him drop into the lair of the Rancor. This is one of the best stop-motion effects I've ever seen, and I'm usually not a fan of stop-motion, because it's often very visible that an object is skipping centimeter by centimeter. It's just not lively enough. Here, this thing does look alive and very scary. Admittedly, this scene does make the first act go on longer than it needs to, because Luke escapes by dropping a gate on the beast, just so that he can be taken to another execution site, the Sarlacc pit. It's the same kind of pacing problem that the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back had. They both throw in an extra scene that doesn't amount to much, where Luke gets trapped with a giant monster. So above the Sarlacc pit is where our heroes make their great escape. R2-D2 tosses Luke his newly constructed lightsaber, and this is the first time that anyone saw a lightsaber that was green. I love that on the first poster his lightsaber is still blue. Very good way of surprising people. So Leia strangles Jabba to death, and Han takes out Boba Fett by accident, and he goes out in a humiliating way. But who really cares? Boba Fett is overrated. Yes, I said it. What you gonna do about it? Oh, you hit the downvote button. Okay, you win. So after a very entertaining first act, Luke goes back to Dagobah to meet with Yoda, who is dying. And though we can't see him being his awesome self, I love that Yoda still cracks a few jokes even while he knows that he's in the last moments of his life. And with his dying words, he tells Luke that his training is complete. The only thing he has to do to become a Jedi is confront Darth Vader. And with Empire Strikes Back leaving some people wondering if Vader was telling the truth, Yoda tells Luke and confirms to the audience that Vader is indeed his father. And then he fades away, which is a moment that I think is even stronger than it's often recognized for. With Yoda dead, the Jedi are now completely gone. After they lingered for a while with Obi-Wan and Yoda surviving Order 66, they're completely extinct now. Luke now has more responsibility on his hands, as he's the only one now who can keep the Jedi legend alive. The spirit of Obi-Wan appears again to tell Luke the whole story about his father, and to tell him that Leia is his twin sister from whom he was separated at birth. This often draws ridicule because of the fact that they kissed in the last movie, but why is this dwelled on so much? Sure, it's something you can joke about, but it's not like there was an entire love story dedicated to them. Their kiss was just one move that Leia made simply to make Han jealous. It's not something to get grossed out by. And I really like the scene later when Luke takes her aside. It's a very quiet moment, but it feels so genuine the way that he slowly makes these revelations to her. This is why I love this movie about as much as I do Empire. Even when little is happening and it's very quiet, there's never a dull moment. Whether it's the action, the heartfelt moments, the camaraderie between the main characters, or the conflict within them, there's always something to hold your attention. So Luke joins with his friends with the rebellion, and the first thing that they have to do is go down to Endor to deactivate the Death Star shield generator. It was originally planned for them to meet a colony of Wookiees there, but the movie didn't quite have the budget. So instead, they run into a tribe of little furry critters called Ewoks. And I don't care what anyone else says, I love these little guys. They're like fuzzy minions. I just want to have 3 or 4 of my own. Tell me it doesn't make you smile watching the ways that they help take out the ATSTs. This is the most action-packed out of the trilogy. The ground battle with the ATSTs is great, and the space battle isn't confined to the Death Star trench this time. The Rebel ships are flying around Star Destroyers, and the Empire overuses the Death Star's firepower just to take a few of the ships out. We even get this awesome speeder bike chase when they first arrive on Endor, a very stylishly crafted scene, even though the green screen forest flying past them is one effect that looks more dated than most in the trilogy. Plus, the most riveting lightsaber duel ever, which I'll get to in a minute. Another depiction of how far Luke has come as a character is that he no longer approaches Vader with nothing but contempt. He senses that there is conflict within him, and he can still be turned. So he instead allows himself to be captured so that he can speak with him. Vader insists that he is not conflicted at all, and brings him to the Emperor. And so begins a full-on psychological battle. The Emperor taunts Luke, trying to get his hate to emerge and turn him to the dark side. Luke whips out his lightsaber, ready to strike him down. Vader fights back, and from there as they duel, Vader and the Emperor both take advantage of Luke's tendency to act on an impulse. In a moment where Vader knows that he has lowered his aggression, Luke is out of his sight, standing there with his face half in the shadows and half in the light. Vader reads his mind and finds his next strategy. If you will not turn, then maybe your sister will. This is when Luke lashes out again, and in his rage he cuts off Vader's mechanical right hand. But in doing so, it dawns on him what's happening to him. When I was a kid, I thought that the reason for Luke cutting off the same hand from Vader that Vader took from him was just kind of to show how like father, like son they are. But now I see that the real significance of it is Luke realizing that he's turning into what his father has become. So he throws his lightsaber away from him, eliminating any means of attack, and he proclaims to the Emperor, "You have failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi." Then we get to one of the series' greatest moments of visual storytelling. If it's not the Blu-ray version, I'll get to that crap later. The Emperor tortures Luke with his Force lightning, intending to make him die a slow and agonizing death. But Vader is standing there still, turning to the Emperor and then back at his son, suffering. You can't even see his face or expression, and you still see how conflicted he is. That's amazing. And yes, Vader picks up the Emperor and throws him down a shaft to his death. Or so we thought. But whatever the case, Anakin Skywalker has brought down the Empire and saved his son. Everything that happens in the throne room is my single favorite full sequence in all of the Star Wars movies. And this is where I want to bring up the question, what does the title Return of the Jedi mean? While it'd be easy to assume that the Jedi it refers to is Luke, when you really think about it, what would be his return in this movie? It isn't even until this movie that he becomes a Jedi. Return of the Jedi is as much Vader's movie as it is Luke's, so I believe that the title actually refers to Anakin and his return to the light side. And after Vader made that one move, I found myself suddenly feeling bad for him at the sound of his breathing getting weaker, having been electrocuted himself when grabbing the Emperor. He tells Luke to remove his helmet, and Luke sees the face of his father for the first and the last time. He flies out of the Death Star with the body just before Lando flies in with the Millennium Falcon and blows it up. After the sad death of Anakin, the movie ends on a joyful high note. As Luke celebrates the fall of the Empire with his friends, the spirits of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and his father are there watching over him. Return of the Jedi is action-packed, it's entertaining, it's thought-provoking, it's emotional, it's everything I love about cinema. I know it's mostly well-liked by the crowd, but I love it more than most, to the point where I have to say it's better than A New Hope. Don't get me wrong, I love A New Hope as well. I just feel that The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi are more layered in their storytelling. My second favorite of the saga as of yet, Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi, gets a 92%. After I bought one of the first releases of the Star Wars trilogy on VHS from Value Village, I was very happy to be able to see this movie in its original unaltered glory, without any of the absolutely stupid changes. Return of the Jedi has the worst of all three, but I'll start with the good ones. Contrary to popular opinion, I like the extra features to the Sarlacc pit. Yeah, the CGI could be better, but it looks more alive and more threatening than just the plain wide-open mouth embedded into the ground. And at the end, we see other planets celebrating the Empire's defeat, which is a totally justified addition since this was a galactic victory. I have to wonder why we didn't see this in the original cut. I didn't have anything against removing Sebastian Shaw's eyebrows to be more consistent with the events of Revenge of the Sith, but replacing Shaw at the very end with Hayden Christensen was a horrendous decision. George Lucas tried to explain the change by saying that that was the last time that Anakin was on the good side, but that's wrong. Was he not the one who destroyed the Empire, who saved his son? And of course, Jedi rocks. Aside from the question of why Jabba's entertainers would sing a song by that name, I think Jabba would throw them to the Rancor just upon hearing the title. It's painful having this badly computer-generated image yelling in my face, and having this big musical number is really out of place at Jabba's palace. It's like walking through a dreary-looking high-crime area and then suddenly running into a Nickelback concert. But out of all the edits ever made to Star Wars, this is the one that I hate the most. It single-handedly ruins the perfect silent scene that I raved about. It's not like George Lucas thought, that scene really didn't work without Vader shouting no. Richard Marquardt had way too much faith in the audience. No, it came with the 2011 Blu-ray version, not the 1997 edition. I am half convinced that Lucas was trying to piss us off with this one, like because we ridiculed Vader shouting no at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Why not just spell it out a little bit more, eh?
Ooh, that looks like it hurts. You know, Sheev, maybe you could lay off just a smidge. That is my son right there, you know? You know what? Screw this crap! You die! And don't come back! Oh, I hope I didn't give him any ideas.
As for the rest of the movies, I'll probably review the prequels before the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is released on Disney+. And I have talked about The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi before on this channel, though I still had more thoughts that I wanted to get out there. But nevertheless, both videos will appear on the end screen. The Force Awakens was back when I was doing discussion videos with my friends, and The Last Jedi I did review when it first came out, but I never got into details about it. To make it simple, I love The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi I first gave a 77%, but after multiple viewings, some of the problems with that movie did bug me more, so my score comes down to a 68 for The Last Jedi. So that I know for sure what I think of The Rise of Skywalker before reviewing it, I'll be seeing it twice this weekend. I look very much forward to seeing how it all ends, and I hope you all enjoy it too. Just whatever you end up thinking about it, let's all get along. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like and share, subscribe for more. This is Pop Culture. I'm Alex Pop, and may the Force be with you.